Hey, my little cupcakes, I have a great story. Sofia Valdez, future Prez. Hope you like it. Here we go. Sofia was a baby who got things done, helping her family before she turned 1. So here's a picture of her and her abuelo, her grandfather. She's helping water the garden. She and abuelo went off every week to help elderly friends around Blue River Creek who couldn't get out and about on their own. And with no place to gather, were stuck home alone. So Sofia and her grandpa would go and help all these people that were stuck and couldn't get out like we have it in the pandemic now. Raking the leaves, taking pets for a walk, or just dropping by for a treat and a talk. Sofia Valdez did as much as she could for her family and friends and her whole neighborhood. A dreamer, a doer, a real-life go-getter. Most people like good, but Sofia liked better. So she was always trying to help other people. She used to walk the pets, bring treats for the people that couldn't get out. Early morning, abuelo walked Sofia. Each morning, abuelo walked Sophie to class. They walked home again along Blue River Pass, making plans, munching cookies. Abuelo and girl, except for that Tuesday, when Pup saw the squirrel, and with a howl, Pup took off, racing all through the town, over, under, beneath, and around. Sofia scrambled to try to keep up with the hollering pup, with the hollering man and the bellowing pup. Oh my goodness. So the puppy saw a squirrel and took off, and Grandpa's chasing him, trying to catch him as he's trying to catch a squirrel. And the man's hollering and the puppy's barking at the squirrel. Up the squirrel ran to the top of the hill, made of leftover junk for the local landfill. They reached the tip-top of that mountain of trash, which jiggled and broke with an ear-splitting crash. So here's Sofia and her grandpa running up the hill, and the puppy is chasing the squirrel. I don't know what's going to happen. Down they all tumbled and hit with a thud on a muddy old pumpkin surrounded by mud. Ouch, cried abuelo. He struggled to stand. A dangerous mess, he said, grasping her hand. Oh, poor abuelo. So he ran up to get the dog, and they fell into an old pumpkin, and he got hurt. He's holding Sofia's hand. The next day, Sofia walked to school solo, which means alone. But it wasn't the same without her abuelo. This is not right, declared young Sofia, who glared at Mount Trashmore, and she got an idea. So here's Sofia staring at this landfill. Millennium Park used to be like that, a landfill. And it was changed. And this is her plan. The very next morning at past dawn, she planted a sign at the front of the lawn. She stood back and smiled, and Pup gave a bark. Get rid of Mount Trashmore. Let's build a new park. So she made a sign. Let's get rid of Mount Trashmore. Let's build a new park. Each one of her neighbors had something to say about benches and fountains and places to play, meeting spots, gardens, a basket for bees, a rubber duck pond, and a kiosk for cheese. She drew every thought on her map of the park, which is perfectly perfect by 1:45 So she kept working on it. Almost time for dark. She worked on it all day, and she made a map for this park. She drifted to sleep in her soft, cozy... She drifted to sleep in her soft, cozy bed. Then, bam, she woke up with a thought when a thought smacked her head. Her heart skipped a beat as she realized each one of her neighbors had said, let me know when it's done. They all thought Sofia could build it alone. But how could one girl do so much on her own? The weight of that thought made her tender heart ache as night thunder growled and she laid wide awake. Then dawn brought a storm and the gloomy sky wept, and the heart-sick Sofia finally slept. So she stayed up all night thinking, how am I going to build this park? All the neighbors think I can do it alone. How am I going to do this? Abuelo baked cookies when Sophie got up. He gave her a bagful and sneaked one to Pup. He blinked back a tear as he hugged his Sofia. For courage, he whispered. Ti amo, mi vida. Sophie's knees wobbled. She felt weak inside. She looked at his ankle and quite nearly cried. Though she didn't feel brave or courageous at all, Sofia Valdez went to face City Hall. So here's Grandpa giving her a hug and baking her cookies and saying, have courage when you go and speak with City Hall. Have some courage. So here's little Sofia going up. Grandpa dropped her, Abuelo dropped her off. She's going inside to talk to them. See her right there? There she is walking up the stairs. She had a meeting. The mayor's office sent her to room 401, the Blue River Creek Department of Fun, which sent her downstairs to room 302, the Office of Duck Ponds and Cool Things to Do, to the Office of Monkeys, the Department of Cheese, the Division of Fountains and Meetings and Bees, then down to the basement so musty and cramped, where all the town's papers were sorted and stamped. And that's when the clerk said what no one else did. You can't build a new park. You're only a kid. So they sent her all through City Hall to different departments. And the clerk down here in the basement right here said, you can't build a park. You're just a kid. The words smacked Sofia deep in her heart. Her plan was kiboshed before it could start. I think, said Sofia, I think that the law's wrong. But her second grave voice didn't sound very strong. The clerk said clearly, it cannot be done. Do you have any questions? Sofia said one. If you were me and I were you, and he was your grandpa, what would you do? Well, said the clerk, that she said nothing at all. She thought, and then she sent out a call to every employee throughout City Hall. So Sofia asked the clerk, it said it couldn't be done. What would you do if it was your grandfather that got hurt? What would you do? The entire government of Blue River Creek crammed into the office to hear Sofia speak. But her words jumbled up and her cheeks turned bright red as a dozen emotions rushed into her head. Her heart beat so loudly she thought it would crack. The crowd leaned in closer. Sofia leaned back. Then her arm brushed the edge of the old cookie sack. And that was the moment when Sofia first knew being brave means doing the things you must do, though your heart cracks with fear, though you're just in grade 2. So here's all the people from City Hall trying to get her to tell them her plan. And she felt nervous and scared, but she knew she had to do it. She took a deep breath, looked at the mayor in the eye, and though her knees wobbled, she held her head high. Sofia started talking. She spelled out her plan and why it all mattered and how it began. And once she got rolling, she had lots to say about meeting spots, monkeys, and places to play, and other ideas for things they could do to help the town elders and other folks too. She had thoughts on the library, thoughts on the zoo, and perhaps a way to combine the two. And so she told them her plan about the park. Now they can find the library and the zoo and make this park happen. All right, cried the mayor, go start a petition. If the town wants a new park, we'll form a commission. So young Sofia got right to work with some help from her family and Pup and the clerk. Let's build a park for everyone. Sign our petition, please. Bark for parks. So here's the clerk and Sofia and her abuela and the puppy carrying signs trying to get people to sign their petition. Then others joined in, not all but a few, like Miss Lily Greer and the kids in grade 2. So all of her class joined in the petition and made signs. And her teacher did too. There was hearings and surveys and taxes to figure. Then bulldozers, cranes, and a blue bigger digger. They all built a park. That's how it got done, with the hard work of by and for everyone. But it began with a dream of one person, just one, who laced up her shoes and then laid the way to help Blue River Creek get a new place to play. Now every evening till long after dark, the town comes together at Citizens Park. They all hold this truth to be self-evident, that Sofia Valdez could grow up to be president. Until then, Sofia, that real-life go-getter, helps Blue River Creek get better and better. So here's a picture of the Citizens Park. Everyone joined in together to make it happen, but it was Sofia's idea. And they feel like someday Sofia could be president because she cares. Hope you like